We are being live streamed.
Hope so. Oakley dokley.
Get these burps out. Okay. Yeah, same.
All right.
Is it better with my camera in view the whole time? Or like if it's like right there, it kind of goes in and out. Like if I get closer or like, what do you think?
I think just in frame if it
Okay.
doesn't interfere with your
Yeah, it's fine. As long as I don't move my body too much, it will generally stay there.
Yep.
Alrighty.
We
Hello and welcome to the Warrior House podcast, where Warrior Pride lives. I'm your host, Ryan Reingart, joined by my co host, Mike Sangster. Thank you for joining us on episode 104 of the Warrior House podcast.
Man, we are blowing through September, aren't we?
Yeah, we just talked about that before we started recording. Like, we're literally about to talk about stuff that takes us all the way through September, and that's very wild to me.
Yeah.
I just,
Crazy
it's
college
almost
football, like
unbelievable.
crazy non-GLIAC college football news. Mike Gundy out at Oklahoma State after, gosh, like 21 years, something like that.
Long, long time he's been there.
And a day after his I'm a man, I'm 40 rant.
It is wild that it feels like something had to have happened. Like somebody who's been around that long to just up and get fired mid-season. Like that feels like a situation where maybe you wait till the end of the season, but who knows? Whatever. Not our team. But yeah, very interesting point.
Getting blown out by Tulane does not, was it Tulane or yeah, Tulane. Getting blown out by Tulane doesn't help much.
They do
At
have Jake
home.
Retzlaff, who is the pride of Utah State, if I'm not mistaken. Lots of Utah State going on about these days, especially on the
Shooting
Warrior
at Wayne
House
State.
podcast. We're going to talk about one person here starting out. But first, thanks for something that we missed in the last episode was highlighting baseball and softball. Well, of course, because their seasons aren't happening right now, but they do have some scrimmaging and other events going on. Baseball just had, I believe, their sixth or seventh home run derby take place at Comerica Park, and that was on Tuesday,
Yesterday, I think.
September 23rd. So hopefully that was fun. They
I'm
also
glad
had
that
a
there was a,
scrimmage.
Detroit-based team there that could hit home runs. That,
That
that must have been nice.
do anything. I believe baseball also had a scrimmage this past weekend against insert team name here. I don't really remember, but not really much to report on that one. But also softball had a scrimmage as well. So all of that is going on. But again, it's not really much to report on since they are very much the pride of spring sports here at Wayne
Yep.
State. So much to talk about them as we get through season 4 of the Warrior House podcast. But just wanted to call that out as something that we didn't necessarily highlight, but it's definitely going on right now. All
For
right,
sure.
Sangster football. Let's get right into it because it was so not exciting at all. The Wayne State football team headed out to La Crosse, Wisconsin to take on Wisconsin lacrosse, the Eagles, somewhere over there on the very western part of Wisconsin, bordering Minnesota.
No.
It just definitely sounds like you ever see those like the maps of the United States that says like where like the most alcohol consumption is by county. First of all, Wisconsin is always like the darkest red, but like looking at towns like this, I'm like, they're the reason why is like because of places like this. We were just talking about it. Like there was like 2,800 people at this game. It was like, well, what else is there to do in La Crosse, Wisconsin, other than be the biggest diehard fan of your Wisconsin lacrosse Eagles? And that's what it seems like here. Um, so Wayne State heads out to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and takes on, I believe, then number 8 ranked in D3, the Eagles, and Wisconsin lacrosse won this one by a final score of 31-22. And I'm going to be honest with you, for basically most of that game, it felt way worse than that. The score doesn't necessarily tell the story of this didn't feel like it was that close of a game to me, especially once you started to get around halftime, just after halftime. Things were a little bit rough, Sangster.
Yeah, let's talk about that first quarter. It was an outstanding first quarter, I think, especially for the defense. Again, holding down, uh, holding down the fort for this team against a uh, Wisconsin lacrosse team that is pretty offensively good. Wayne State did manage to score the first points of the game between the two in the first quarter, uh, towards kind of the 8 minute mark. I'm just looking back who it was, uh, set up by two big plays. First, Champion Edwards had a quarterback draw 23 yards. Excellent. He also had a awesome, beautiful 30-yard pass to, you guessed it, Drew Hickmott, a guy we've been talking about pretty much every game now, has done something awesome. And then Devon Bentley finishing it off, 2-yard run up the middle. Wayne State scores the first points of the game. Unfortunately, they didn't really score much again until the end of the second half.
Yeah, yeah, and you mentioned it, like somebody who I'd kind of been preaching the word of, Champion Edwards, had a very, very rough way to go. And I honestly, I wasn't watching this one as close as I watched some previous games. So I know one of the things we're going to be talking about is some of the stats here, but I don't know exactly what it was that was going on within this game, but something wasn't clicking like it had in the previous 2 weeks that Champion Edwards saw some game action. And, you know, the stats show that it was time to make a little bit of a change there. Um, but defensively, Sangster, I mean, this is another one of those that you called it out. This is like, how can the defense respond in this case? Can they continue to ball out, or can they just, kind of take it to heart and say, well, the offense isn't doing what they need to do. Why are we going to keep carrying our weight if, we feel like the other side of the ball isn't necessarily carrying the weight? For a while there, the Wayne State defense did pretty well. I mean, I believe there's two forced fumbles in there. Yeah, this came out to like, a 328-yard passing day for Wisconsin lacrosse. By the way, they hardly ran the ball at all because that's just not their MO. So it's tough to go against that as much as, the Wayne State defense did. But another situation, do we feel like the defense held up enough or did what they needed to do in order to put the offense in a position to win? I would say yes. And I think the issue here is that first half was just such a nothing burger for the Wayne State offense. And then at some point, your defense just got worn down.
Yeah, and unfortunately, after Wayne State scored those 7 points to start out, the defense gave up 31 unanswered. But I think a big part of that is you can only have unanswered points if the other side isn't answering. In this
Yeah.
case, Wayne State didn't score any points until the fourth quarter, uh, second half of the game. After halftime, this was a 7-10 game. Uh, Lacrosse does get a touchdown on their first play of the drive. 7-17, still not an insurmountable uh, score by any means, but unfortunately, just that offense could not get going in the third quarter. By the fourth, they make the change to Braden Seary. He does have a much better game than, unfortunately, than Champion Edwards did. Something like, get it pulled up. I know that Champion Edwards was kind of rough with passing here. 5 for 18, 62 yards. You take out that awesome, like I said, 30-yard bomb to Drew Hickmott. It's 4 for 17 for 32 yards. Not getting it done. Braden Seary, for his part, in about a quarter of action, was 11 for 16, 139 yards, two touchdowns, including a long 47-yard pass. Some interesting decisions also in this game. When Wayne State scores that first touchdown of the fourth quarter, at that point they were down 3 scores. If they had went for two, they would have been down 2 scores. Still would have taken a miracle. Needed to uh, at least get a couple onside kicks or at least one 3-and-out for their defense. But if they had made that 2 point conversion, they would have been down 16. They don't. It's still a 3 point game.
Three-score game.
Yeah, 3 score game. Wish it was a 3 point game. Uh, but then Wayne State goes out, they ball out on defense, they get the ball back. Brain Seary throws that other touchdown. You just kind of wish that something had happened, that maybe they go for the two beforehand to try and you know put your team in a much better position to go out and win the game. It still would have taken a miracle, uh, but the math would have worked out there. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way for Wayne State. And really, I think just the overall thing with this game is we're going to have to see on the offense, as far as the passing game goes, is it bad throws, is it bad decisions, or is it just a rough game by the receivers? I know a guy that we talked about early going into the season, Angel Carrillo. He had another nothing burger, and I think he's had a couple drop passes, critical drop passes. Uh,
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he also had a dropped punt return, kick return, and
right.
punt return, and he muffed one. And there was a point in there I was like, this is it was getting pretty rough, and nothing seemed like it was going right. But that one in particular was like, I remember feeling again, I think it was a punt return, but rough to see that.
Yeah, and again, also the turnovers, unfortunately, again by Champion Edwards, throws another pick at, and it's not just they threw the pick; it's that it came at the worst time. Uh, Last game, throwing it in the red zone, being able to win the game through a pick there, through a pick here where special teams forced a muff punt by Lacrosse, got the ball back for the offense. Game was still well within reach and throws an interception. So I think it's pretty obvious here also that the opposing teams are selling out to stop the run with this passing game the way that it is. Running game just could not get going, averaging roughly 3 yards per carry between all of the rushers. Uh, when you're starting running backs and quarterback are averaging just above 3 yards per carry, it's unfortunately not going to get a lot done on the ground game for Wayne State.
No, you very quickly add those numbers up, and three-yard gains do not get you a first down.
No.
So that's a bad number. It's your number's got to be at 4 or higher if you're going to have any sort of success. And like you said, I mean, there's always that really long run that kind of throws off the numbers and the averages and all that. But in this case, there weren't. Like, these were pretty honest 3-yard on average gains. One of the other things you kind of just mentioned there is, like, because the passing game is in such a rough spot, I have a very hard time believing that we don't have some athletes on our team that on a one-on-one battle can get some space, can get open. It just feels like things are not clicking, that like the play calls aren't working, or there's just not enough communication as far as, here's what this route is supposed to be, here's when you let this ball go, here's what we're looking for. It feels like that's a lot of what's going on here.
Mhm.
And again, this is coming from me watching on whatever D3 level
Stream.
broadcast that UWL has, or like being able to watch at a Wayne State game from field level view or from wherever. So it's a little bit tough sometimes, but it's pretty clear that something offensively, we've known this for a couple of years, is just not working.
Yeah,
And some things have changed, but things still aren't working, and that's rough to see.
right. On the flip side, though, we did have some nice performances from the receiving core. Drew Hickmott, like we said, I think he's going to be a name we're going to say every week. New name here, been around the team for a minute. Uh, Finally got some serious playing time towards the end of the game here. Jordan Bell, 3 receptions, 72 yards, and a touchdown, and including a huge 47-yard reception from Braden Seary here. Outstanding performance from him. Hopefully, uh, one of his first of many outstanding performances in a Wayne State uniform, but he definitely had a day out there. Also, Donovan Isaac, I think, got his first Wayne State touchdown as well. And then on the defensive side, there were some good individual performances aside from the points given up. Uh, Max Edwards had another forced fumble. Roshan McGee, a quarterback hit. Elijah Folks, another forced fumble.
And a
Uh,
sack.
yep, and a sack. And a sack for Max Edwards as well. Uh, a sack and a tackle for loss for Luke Johnson. Two quarterback hurries or hits for Daryl Washington, and a pass breakup for Phil Cato. So excellent stuff from the defense. It's just a matter of they are on the field way too much, uh, and that's what leads to these massive point numbers that they give up.
Yeah, boy, do they know how to play together. That's a lot of tackle for losses. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
they not. It feels to me like they know how to play together very well because they're doing it a lot.
yeah.
Um, and they're showing out when they can. But at some point, you break. You're chasing around the offense quite a bit, and you'll get worn down after a while. So that seems to be the story here. A lot more to come up here in the second half, Sangster, of this episode, but really rough time for Wayne State football. Like really, I will say. I am happy that I was not on the bus coming back from this game because I imagine that was not that fun. I don't think they stopped at Wendy's or Arby's. I think they were all
Definitely not
very,
Dairy Queen.
who
Definitely
knows
not
what they
Dairy.
talked about, but I know that that was not fun. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I hope some things got figured out while they were on that bus because, or that they are this coming week in advance of this coming game here this weekend. But that's the story for Wayne State football. Not what we wanted, but unfortunately, we've gotten all too used to saying not the result that we were looking for. This was very much not the result that we were looking for. And I hope that changes in a couple of days here when we have our next game. So moving on, Sangster, we got some tennis action. What do we got from our men's tennis team?
Well, the past weekend, men's tennis was at the Everybody versus Cancer Invitational in Toledo. It was an all-day event. Uh, Not quite the usual tennis match that we're used to seeing. It's more of a I, I, I can best put it as like an individual type uh, match. Got individuals and you got doubles, but not necessarily like a team score or anything like that. So both Thomas Mathis, who's a freshman, and Lewis Klaus went 4-0 in singles competition. Uh, Benjamin Hill and Tom Wasner went 3-1 in singles. And then on the doubles end, Tom Wasner and George Day went 3-0. It's early in the season. I think we're starting to get a sense of what this team is going to look like. But it's still a long way before we get actual competition underway. There's still going to be a lot of opportunities going forward. We'll talk about it later, but early in the season, I think that Wayne State men's tennis is going to be okay.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, I haven't looked up the pronunciation yet, but Thomas Mathis, I'd assume it's like, I don't know. I don't know enough about him, but seeing him go 4-0 as a freshman is a very, very exciting thing. And
Yep.
as you mentioned, Sangster, like we're starting to get an idea of what this team looks like. If he's in that 4, 5, or 6 slot, which is like, you've six tennis players that go out and play individual matches. If
Yep.
he's one of those in the 4, 5, 6, and he's already performing at this level, that's fantastic. Louis Klaus being able to perform at the level that he has is great. Benjamin Hill for sure. Thomas Wasner. I know that they were both pretty good last year. And then the combo of George Day and Tom Wasner feels like that's going to be our number one combo, or a doubles pair. We'll have to see. But a lot to come of this Wayne State tennis team. And they still have quite a bit more action, a big time tournament coming up here that we'll talk about in the second half. But very excited to see what they end up with this season. The Wayne State women's tennis team was also in action. They were at the Chargers Fall Invitational hosted by Hillsdale in Hillsdale, Michigan. Malik Arafat fell in the semifinal of singles draw A. She ended up finishing in third place for the singles in that bracket. Shanice Weeks, she actually ended up making it to the finals of the singles B draw. So very, very close to getting a number one place finish there. Justine, gosh, she said her last name to us one time, and I tried really hard to remember it, and I forgot.
Same.
Baloo, she ended up winning the singles C draw. So a lot of really good representation for the Wayne State women's tennis team in the singles play. And then Malik Arafat and Celine Kayakent, they made it in the final of the doubles A draw, but they ended up losing there. So they end up finishing second place there. That is a new name for us. Is again Celine Kayakent. I'm gonna definitely look up the pronunciation of that one because I know we're gonna be mentioning her name if she's playing alongside Malik Arafat. She's probably
Yeah,
going to be one of the high.
she comes in as one of the two freshmen uh for this team. So to immediately be paired with a someone who's been around a long time, Malik Arifat senior, uh outstanding stuff already.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will not be talking about the women's tennis team here in the second half. So they get a little bit of a break before we bring them up again. But again, the men's tennis team, they do have some action coming up. So if tennis is your thing, stay tuned. We got more volleyball, thanks to my favorite sport going on right now because, well, not only is it an exciting sport right off the bat, we have a very good volleyball team. And I've been
We do.
preaching the word out on the socials. They are doing fantastic. They had some glee action over this last week. What do we got?
On Friday, September 19th, they had their first GLIAC home game against Saginaw Valley State. Wayne State shut them out. It was 25-22 in all three sets, but Wayne State does win 3-0. Kayla Giroux had a .429 attack percentage on 21 attacks. I, I assume that's pretty good. I don't entirely understand volleyball statistics, but I think that's pretty outstanding if we had it on the notes here.
It's fun.
Uh,
It's funny enough because you're the
yeah,
one that you text me about the score of all three sets being 25-22, and I looked at it
yeah.
like that is very interesting. So attack percentage is basically when you come down, when you spike the ball. It's not just spiking, it could be a number of things,
Yeah.
but basically 43% of the time when she does that, done, point. So that's a very, very high percentage. I do have a point. I
Gotcha.
do have a point about that here on the second game that we're going to talk about here. That's a very high percentage, though. If I recall correctly, last season she was the highest attack percentage in the GLIAC, if not top three. It was somewhere in there.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll definitely keep track of that one. Also on Saturday, the next day, September 20th, they face Lake Superior State, and again, Wayne State shut them out 3-0. Lake State never hit more than 20 points in a set. I think Wayne State took their lunch money and sent them back up to Sault Ste. Marie. Again, both Kayla's here starting this one. Kayla Dolger had 24 assists. Kayla Giroux had 10 kills, again with a .421 attack percentage. Also, a player to keep your eye on is Paige Geitbrock. See if her attack percentage can start to creep up. She was playing really well in this game here.
Yeah, I wanted to call her out specifically
Yep.
because in I want to say it was the match against Saginaw Valley
Mhm.
that she actually had a negative attack percentage. Now, based on what you just said what we just said, I don't know how you get a negative attack percentage other than you just have an error. So, like basically, like you cost your team a point. That's the only thing I can think, and that
Yeah, because
probably
you
is
don't
the
get
case.
like negative batting average or anything like that.
Right? Yeah. So, in this case, it seems like basically she went for an attack and hit the net or hit it out of bounds or whatever. So, like,
Gotcha.
as you were trying to get your team a point, you actually cost your team a point. I think that's what it is. But she had a negative attack percentage of one of them, and the other match, it was in like the 100. So definitely a little bit low. But seeing as much time as she's getting on the court, we're clearly trying to get something out of her. We're trying to get her to build a bit more. And again, this is a team that is now 8-1 overall and now sitting at 2-0 in conference play. And I think I made the point in the last episode that like if we get her up to be, what a quarter of the time, a 0.25 attack percentage, it feels like that's going to be a serious game changer. And there's a big opportunity this coming weekend, I think, for her to kind of step into that role and kind of take over. But we'll definitely talk about that. But very exciting stuff for volleyball. And boy, do they got a big weekend coming up here,
Yeah, they
Sangster.
do.
I'm pretty stoked about this one.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer they won't be at home again this weekend, but still big opportunity to go out on the road. Last up, we had women's golf. They were competing earlier this week, starting Monday, September 22nd, for the Women's Golf Warrior Invitational, which was in Washington, Michigan. Again, of course, very close to my place. Round one, Wayne State was doing very well. At that point, Sonia Bayahaya was showing out and then there was a mix of Wayne State golfers after that. Uh, Big thing to look out for is could she be the third golfer that we rely on? Obviously, when you have a team, you have five golfers, top four scored. Unfortunately, it was kind of a rough time after that. Wayne State ended up finishing seventh out of 13th. They were right in the middle between all of the GLIAC teams that were there. I've got the team standings up here. Grand Valley finished in first. Ferris finished in third. Davenport finished in fourth. Wayne State seventh. Saginaw eighth. Parkside ninth, and then Northern Michigan and Purdue Northwest at the bottom, 12th and 13th. So lots of Midwest region teams here. Again, Wayne State was pretty much in the middle of all of them, not only by standings, but also by score as well. Next up, Lewis had in sixth. They were plus 72. Wayne State was plus 81, and then Saginaw Valley was plus 100. So not the worst score out there, not quite where they want to be. Either Claudia Portillo ended up finishing as the best warrior, finishing plus 14, and she was 15th in the field.
Yeah, yeah, and looking at the way that the GLIAC teams lined up, definitely seems like Davenport is going to be within striking distance of us that we could possibly get to them. I don't know how all of the other GLIAC teams line up that were not part of this competition, but yeah, I mean Claudia Portillo and Ting Yu Kwa are the two that we can generally rely on, which I kind of giggle at that, not necessarily in a way of like those are the two that we rely on. And Tingyu Kwa ended up finishing 37th overall individually. And then, like you said, thanks to Sonia Bayaya, the one that we're like, can this be the third that we can really rely on to consistently score well? She ended up finishing 20th individually. So I mean, if this can start to get a little bit of momentum for her and Tingyu Kwa can get back up into that top third echelon, sure, based on the numbers, like it doesn't feel like Grand Valley or Ferris State are really right there for us to kind of overtake, but we can get right in there and be a very, very competitive team
Yep.
regionally. And so that, I mean, that's something that we're gonna definitely that I'll definitely be keeping my eye on as we get through the little bit that they have left in the fall season, and especially as they get into spring season. These are some familiar names that have been with the team for a while now.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of time before the games really start counting for. They don't really count for much of anything until you get to GLIAC championships, hoping then to make NCAA regionals. Lots of time in between now and then to be playing these matches over the winter, get in the lab, get in the simulators, uh, start working on the game, and get ready for that spring season. It's crazy to say now, but it will be here before we know it. Less than what, maybe 4 or 5 months away.
Yeah, about that.
Yep.
So it'll get here. What will also get here very soon is the second half of this episode, like that little segue right there. So
Hey.
what we'll do, we have a very, very busy Saturday on
We
tap. A
do.
lot of events going on. Definitely the busiest of the fall semester so far. So we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back to talk about everything we got coming up.
Look at us
I
with
went
our Wayne State
I,
glasses.
I went to readjust my Pixel buds and I accidentally tapped them and some
Mhm.
music started playing and now I need to know what it is.
What
It's
song are
Morgan
you listening to?
Wallen. I Ain't Coming Back by Morgan Wallen featuring Post Malone. Never heard it. I don't know why it was playing. Alrighty. What do we need for the second half?
Mhm. Volleyball set.
Hmm.
Football looks set.
Hmm.
This country looks set.
ITA, I think we can get some more on that.
Ooh, yeah. Oh yeah, who's gonna be there? TAD2 bid regionals 2024. I don't want 2024. I want 2025.
Oh, there we go. I found it.
Found it.
Uh, oh, there we go. Okay. So it's individuals. The draws are not up yet.
That sucks.
Oh, sweet Jesus. They don't even have the schools listed. How the hell?
Regional small college championships.
Yeah, I'll show you the link here in the chat.
Midwest event page. Players. Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of seems like basically all of our team is there.
course, they don't have
Really,
any like filter by school, but
it's freaking same. Like, my God.
well, it's at Grand Valley.
What'd we expect?
Is it at Allendale?
Okay. Well, they don't have the draws up yet. I mean, this starts on.
In 3 days on Saturday.
I also lied in the first half that we do have women's tennis.
Oh,
There's the BG Hidden Duels.
creeped up on us. Why are they hidden? Why aren't they in plain daylight? Lovely drive down I-75.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have ITA pulled up. I mean, there's just not really any information about
Yeah,
it.
there's
So,
nothing there because they're useless.
and then last but not least, Quincy football. Okay.
Meh.
I am ready when you are.
Let's go.
And we're back. Starting out volleyball, 8-1 overall, 2-0 in conference play. It almost sounds like I'm a broken record at this point. This volleyball team is so legit. They have so much opportunity in front of them. They showed out. We talked about their one loss of the season was against Dallas Baptist in away match in New York. It was like a tournament going on there. And Dallas Baptist at that time was number 38 ranked. I have to imagine they're a little bit higher than that, but also Wayne State was very, very close to forcing that one into a fifth set. So I mean, we're I think we tallied it up and we were 5 points away. Dallas Baptist scored 98, we scored 93. That's how close that one was. So we're very close, and I'm confident in saying we're very close to being a 9-0 team, which is wild. I don't know how far you'd have to go back to find out the last time that this volleyball team started 9-0. I don't know how far back you'd have to go to find out the last time this team started 8-1, but they definitely feel like they're on a bit of a tear right now. And that's why we were talking here in the first half saying, so this team has quite the opportunity ahead of them. More Glee action happening here. Starting out on Friday, the Wayne State volleyball team is away. They head out to Davenport in, I think it's Grand Rapids, I don't know, Gerald Ford Airport area of the state, taking on Davenport, who comes in with a 5-4 overall record, 2-0 in conference play. This is the one that we need to win. One of the things we talked about a lot last season is a lot of the times when it comes to basketball, when it comes to volleyball, you have two events over a week at either home or away. That's how volleyball operates. So, uh, this is a situation where what is the team that we're expected to be above in the final standings from the preseason coaches poll from whatever? And then what's the one that we're not? And in this case, we get to take on Davenport, who we're expected to be above. At least the preseason coaches poll said so. And it is early to talk about season stats because who knows who everybody has played at this point. But Davenport is definitely looking like they're trending right in the middle of the GLIAC. Wayne State is not. Wayne State is quite a bit higher than that. So in this case, this feels like this is the one you get to focus on. This is the one you get to prepare for. Go on over to Davenport, get this win, and then Saturday rolls around, and Wayne State heads up to Big Rapids. Don't know how that travel schedule works out because there's another school over there, but here we are. And they get to head up and take on Ferris State, who comes in an overall record of 7-3. They are also 2-0 in conference play. This is the biggest opportunity that this team has right now. It's early conference play. We're a very hot team right now. And it's possible we're coming one day off of a win if things work out that way. And you get to try to take down Ferris State, who's expected to be the first or second in GLIAC volleyball. Huge, and it's on their court. If somehow you can go and get that win on their court, woo, this team immediately jumps up to you are now in consideration to be one of the best in the GLIAC, maybe to compete for a GLIAC title. That to me feels how that feels how big this game is.
Yeah, it's all about, again, setting your foundation early. They handled their business at home against, quite frankly, some not as great opponents. Still in the GLIAC, still counts, still is huge for the conference. Now is the real test to go on the road against teams that are, quite frankly, a bit better. Uh, right now, Ferris State is ranked as the number 12 team in Division Two volleyball. I didn't know they had D2 volleyball rankings, but that's where they're at right now. Uh, like basketball, we do get a chance to see them on our home court later in the year in October on Halloween, by the way. Uh, but for right now, you're going out to their place. Big opportunity to take down a top 25, a top 15 team. Uh, and it's time to start getting this GLIAC season underway. You were asking about when was the last hottest start that Wayne State volleyball had. Uh, you would have to go back to the 2016 season where they started 9-2. They would eventually end up overall 19-11. That was an outstanding year for Wayne State volleyball. Next closest would probably be in 2020. 2021 is close. They were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They were 10 and they were 10-2 at one point in 2021. So this Wayne State team in certain years does have a history of having excellent years. Right now, it's shaping up to be that way, but do have to go on the road, handle their business against some teams that are going to be very tough for them.
Yeah, and I mentioned that Davenport seems like they're trending right in the middle of GLIAC in a lot of the stats that we're looking at. So like attack percentage, total number of points, block number of blocks, all basically like just kind of how they line up there. Ferris State's a little bit different. I mean, there's a reason that Ferris State is, as Sangster said, number 12 in the country, and I don't know what ranking it is, but some ranking that's out there. Stats show not much of a separation in attack percentage between Ferris State and Wayne State. But boy, do we block a heck of a lot more. We give up a very, very, very low attack percentage. And again, that's chalked up to blocks. That's chalked up to digs. So, Kayla Dolger just able to dig that one right out of the dirt before it hits. So she's able to keep a lot of those balls alive. Kayla Drew with a number of blocks. So that's where the defense comes into play. And then offensively, we talked about how well this team is able to attack the ball. This is going to be a very interesting one to watch. Excited to see, and this is really kind of sets you like, how serious is this team? And I think they're going to be very serious. At the very least, they got to be able to come back 1-1 from this trip. Man, if they come back 2-0, look out. I mean, the students at Wayne State will have to start to pay attention to this team, and or they should pay attention to this team if they're able to come back with that type of record. So, one last thing on this one, both Ferris and Davenport faced Northern Michigan and Michigan Tech last week, a little bit lower in the standings, at least from what they're projected to finish in the GLIAC preseason coaches poll. So again, it's similar to who Wayne State played last week. Not a Grand Valley in there. Uh, you, some of the lower half of the standing teams, but again, it's so early on. Who knows? All we have to base it off of is some stats that exist and what a couple of coaches said. So that's what we got going on with volleyball, Sangster.
Yeah, and the last point on them you mentioned about uh, getting students to start paying attention to this. I think there is a market for it, and you've certainly seen at other schools, at the D1 level, what we look at on TV most often. There are schools where volleyball is a major sport that, certain events will sell out football stadiums. Not going to happen at Wayne State, but the idea that the Math Eye could be filled for a volleyball game, and when that place is packed, it gets loud. Uh, Students getting them there could certainly, I think, make a difference, make a huge home court advantage for them. Something that students will be able to go to this week, though, is the home football game. Unfortunately, right now, football is coming in at 0-3, but they do have an opportunity to get a win in the win column there on Saturday, September 27th. Football will be playing a game against Quincy at 1 o'clock. Our only night game of the year was the first game of the season. All the rest are going to be at 1 p.m. Right now, Quincy comes in with a 2-1 record. Their one loss was to a team that Wayne State beat last year, and we'll be facing towards the end of the year Roosevelt. It was a close game. It was 21-23. There could be some cause for concern here for the rest of the season, just based on that. We do, like I say, you go to Roosevelt at the end of the season, but just saying how close that was for Wayne State, there could be a challenge there. Also worth noting, looking at the SP Plus ratings that came out yesterday, Quincy is the lowest ranked team that Wayne State will be facing until November when they go to see Roosevelt and Northern Michigan. Quincy ranks below Wisconsin lacrosse. Wisconsin lacrosse is actually pretty, by the rankings, pretty competitive with the rest of the GLIAC there. So big opportunity for Wayne State here. And we said it a lot last season. We're going to say it again here. The longer we go winless, that seat just gets warmer for, I think, for the head coach here. And it can't be the expectation for Wayne State football to hope for an end of the season run at two teams that we were clearly better against last year. We should be better than this year going forward. But at the end of the day, 2, 3, 4 wins. What is that? That should not be the standard for Wayne State football. That hasn't been the standard for 2 decades at this point, and I think it's just unacceptable at this point.
Yeah, I'll stay true to what I wanted to see for this season because I agree. I mean, we keep inching along closer to Roosevelt and Northern Michigan without having many wins under our belt. It's very hard to get into that second tier in the GLIAC. And by the way, Saginaw Valley and Michigan Tech seem like they're very, very strong candidates, especially Michigan Tech, to be able to inch into that Ferris and Grand Valley territory. I mean, there was a point, I think, just last week before Michigan Tech lost, they were number 10 in the country. Uh,
Right.
that's horrifying because, like, yeah, I mean, they might be able to go out there and do that, but there's one less possible. I mean, we got to play Michigan Tech still, so I'm not gonna write a W or an L on the schedule right off the bat. But that game that prior to this season feels like, yeah, we might be able to be competitive with Michigan Tech. They come to our place, they're here on homecoming, all of that. Now all of a sudden they kind of look like they're a bit of a powerhouse in D2. So that makes that a little bit harder to say like, yeah, that second tier of GLIAC is a little bit questionable at this point. I don't know what that looks like. But well, on one hand, we haven't played in GLIAC schools yet, but like it just shows how difficult this division is. And my word, not my words, one of Coach Wheatley's words is, what do we got to do to be competitive with this conference? At the end of the day, these non-conference games do matter in a sense. Like you want to go out there and win games. You want to boost your resume. You want to be able to try to get into postseason play and all that. So these non-conference games matters from that perspective. But if you can't compete with your conference, that's going to be a little bit tough. And that's the thing that scares me a little bit about Roosevelt is the fact that Roosevelt was able to beat a D2 team not that long after getting into D2 themselves. So is the GLIAC starting to get better? Is the Wayne State football team not progressing at the same level? We'll see as this season plays out. But there's definitely some cause for concern. But where there's concern, there's also going to be some opportunity in there.
Yeah, 100%. That second tier of the GLIAC, it's looking like it's going to be the same teams. I think it's just going to be a matter of where they end up. I think that Saginaw Valley was initially picked a little higher. They have not had the start that they wanted to. I think they're 1-3 right now, but again, non-conference part of the season. Uh, at the end of the day, as far as the GLIAC coaches poll goes, it's just going to matter what they do during this conference play. So certainly there's opportunity for them. There's opportunity for Wayne State to take advantage, though, of a Saginaw Valley team that might be down. We won't be facing them for a couple more weeks still. But what's unique about this game is that it's going to be the only GLIAC football team playing this week. The only other team that had a game on the schedule was Davenport. They had a game against Lincoln out of either Pennsylvania or California. I saw one of the two, but apparently they backed out of the game. Lincoln did. I think they got beat pretty bad in all their games. To the point where they may end up just forfeiting the entire season. I'm not sure on that one. But right now, all eyes for any of the folks that are really, really devoted to GLIAC football, they're going to be on Wayne State, and they're going to be facing a Quincy team that they're definitely a beatable team. If you look on the D2 football boards right now, there are a lot of people picking Wayne State to win this game, certainly more than they have in just about any other game. And I have kept messing this up the past couple episodes. That win at Quincy actually happened in 2019. It propelled the team to their best finish since the 2011 team. Probably would have won the GLIAC had it not been for getting kind of boat raced by Ferris. Uh, and just going back to that 2019 season, we could go off on a tangent, but we always talk about, how do we get more folks to come to Wayne State games? Well, that particular Ferris game that Wayne State kind of got boat raced in, that was the highest attended home game for Wayne State in history. And so the answer is simple. To get more people at these games, you got to win some games, or at the very least, be fun to watch when even if you'll lose, make it a competitive game. Unfortunately, this team hasn't really done either over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I had to look it up really quick on the Davenport thing because I thought that was very interesting. Lincoln, California, the
Okay.
Oaklanders, they lost 90 to nothing. They seem like they're very, very an independent school. All they do is play away games. And you think like somebody from California is coming all the way out to Michigan to play. Yeah, they also play like Mississippi State and West Alabama and Lincoln, Missouri, and Arkansas. It's like, oh my goodness. So yeah, it's possible that they got beat so bad they just decided that like we don't we don't
We're
need
not
to go
going to
out to
come to
Michigan
Michigan
for
for
that
this.
one. Yeah, whatever. It feels like it wasn't that long ago, thanks to that, like, we were high up on this team, on Wayne State football. Things were going really well for a season in there. And they were so good. I'll never forget the 2019 win over Grand Valley, how big of a win that felt like at that time. And I just think to myself, like, remember what it was like having a quality football team, being able to have fun and going into games and being like, we have a very, very good chance to win this game. Yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers. So that's very exciting. But let's get on to this game. So Quincy, I don't think we talked about the fact that like even like the Massey ratings still has us projected to win this game by like a 62% chance, if I'm not mistaken. You mentioned the actual rankings of teams and all that. Everything points to Wayne State should be able to win this game. We're at home. It's going to be noon kick. The weather's looking like it's going to be fantastic. All of these things feel like Wayne State's got a very, very good chance. What a great time to get your first win of the season. Oh, by the way, rolling into conference play shortly after that. Boy, there's some question marks around this team, though. I mean, right off the bat, quarterback roulette. I mean, that first week we saw three quarterbacks. The second game of the season, we only saw, Champion Edwards, who seemed like he was kind of performing pretty decently well. His stats showed that he was doing okay. And then this last one, things turn a little bit. So like, who are we going to see at quarterback? Like that definitely feels like a big question.
Yeah, there will be some disagreement. I'm sure you will disagree here. I think that Braden Seary will get the start here. Coach was non-committal during the locker room report, which has been published on YouTube already. Uh, Unfortunately, the recording of the game from the Warrior Sports Network. I'm not sure if they would have done a sideline interview with him to try and get that kind of information like they did the first game. Uh, that wasn't available to us. Uh, but I think there's going to be big questions in the air on, will Champion be able to push through this game, move on to the next, or is it going to be Braden starting out here? My also opinion was that he was pulled way too early in the first game. Can't change history now, but Braden Series certainly played well enough, I think, in this last game to have a look to be the starter for this game coming up.
I mean, I think that's a very fair point because that first game, I mean, Champion Edwards came in and he looked the part,
Yep.
and so he gets to start the next game. Game three rolls around. Champion Edwards has a rough time to go. Braden Seary comes in and looks really well. I mean, if we're gonna go with the fair route, it feels like I agree. Braden Seary would be your starter. It's just this constant idea of like a quarterback roulette. Like at some point, we got to roll with who's going to be the best with it. That way you can look season long. And then I remember, oh wait, Ryan, wait a second. We're trying to win a game. Like
Right.
we can't look to, how is this going to fare in conference play? We got to win this game. So yeah, the pressure I understand. It feels like I understand the pressure of having to make those moves when you do, because we can sit here behind microphones and talk about the fact that like a certain seat should be warm. He feels it too. Like there's no way he does not, had the head coach of the Wayne State football team, the coaches in general, like they feel it. You're 0 and 3. I mean, nobody wants to be 0 and 3. And in some cases, you've been around a while. You have not seen the record improve. You haven't seen yourself get more competitive with your conference teams. Everyone feels it. It's that big giant elephant in the room that we're all rocking around to go and get the TV remote. Like we all know it's
Right.
there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The flip side of this is I think that this Wayne State defense is still going to be very good. I think no matter who they play, they're going to show up. Uh, it's just a matter again, can they stay off the field in the best way possible? That the offense can get something together, but at least to be able to stick with, an offensively minded team like Wisconsin lacrosse, stick with them for the first half, stick with a team like Finley for the entire freaking game. What can you do against this Quincy team that's coming across a very long road trip? I remember it was a very long road trip for Wayne State to go there. I think in Missouri back in
Yep.
2019. Uh, it's going to be a trip for them, and they're coming to our place. Certainly a little bit of advantage Wayne State there. Can this defense continue to play as lights out as possible? I think that has been one of the two big bright spots overall between offense, defense, special teams. Defense has been a bright spot, even special teams as well. Dove Eitzen has been a revelation at punter. Last game he was averaging about 50, he was averaging about like 40 something yards per punt, but he had two massive 50 plus yarders. So really great punter. I kind of wish we didn't have to see him as much as we did. Uh, but right now this is definitely a defensive and special teams to a certain extent team going forward.
Yeah, so big game here, Sangster. Saturday, 1 p.m. Wayne State takes on Quincy, and this is it. After this, we get into conference play. What do you got on this one?
Yeah. Well, there is going to be, it was just announced today that there is going to be a student tailgate in
Yes.
lot 50. Apparently free food, DJ, the whole works. Show up early. I think it starts at 10. I know that we'll be there hanging out doing our own thing, but hey, as many Wayne State students can pack Tom Adams Field, I think the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call out there. So yeah, anybody watching, hopefully this makes it. Hopefully we get this out to the Instagram world, the TikTok world, and all that. If you're a student, if you want to show up, if you want to have fun, if you want to go see some football, great opportunity there. And like I said, the weather's going to be great. Like get in right now before the
Yeah.
weather gets a little bit cool and all that. Like get in right now. This is a fantastic time. So we'll definitely be there. So, all right, thanks. A couple more sports going on here. The Wayne State men's and women's cross country team, they are heading to Kenosha, Wisconsin, hosted by the Parkside Danger Rangers. This is the Lucian Rosa Invitational, again, hosted by Wisconsin Parkside. Um, yeah, it feels kind of like we say it quite a bit. Like, I don't know who's going to be here. It just definitely feels like, uh, one, cross country season is very short, but blink and it's over. It feels like a lot of your Midwest teams are going to be there. It feels like this is another really good opportunity for, both of your teams to figure out how do you compare against, how do you line up against some of the other ones in the region before we get to regionals, maybe nationals, we'll see. But that's kind of what this one feels like, and that feels like that's the story of cross country season.
Yep, just like all these, another opportunity to go run your race, get some time set, and prep for even GLIAC championships, and then hopefully running into uh, Midwest regionals. Next up, we got men's golf. They'll be competing next Monday, September 29th through the 30th on their home course for the Motor City Shakedown. It's in Dearborn, Michigan. We're going to assume it's going to be at TPC. Excellent course, even if we only got to play 9 holes of it. Outstanding course. Wayne State's at home. It's looking hopefully like Wayne State can go out and win this one on their home course.
Yeah, that would be nice. I want to take a look really quick. Yeah, I don't see anything up about this one either. So, I mean, don't really know all the teams and individuals that are going to be there. Same situation. You assume it's going to be a lot of the teams from around here. This usually has a pretty good showing for this one, especially like I said, with a lot of the Southeast Michigan schools, colleges, universities, all that. So definitely a cool one that I'll be keeping my eye on. In addition to them, the Wayne State women's golf team is heading out to Big Rapids, Michigan. Um, is Big bigger than Grand? I feel like no. Grand feels like,
It is.
yeah.
It
So I don't know.
is here. Big is here.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, there's not small rapids, I don't think, but there's a what's it called? Crankers Brewery in Big Rapids, pretty decent place. Feels like you're just kind of like in a like Big Boy or something. It's such a weird situation there, but whatever. We're getting way off track. The Lady Bulldog Fall Invitational is happening. That is presumably hosted by Ferris State. That's happening on Saturday, September 27th to the 28th. So a little weekend golf action for the Wayne State women's golf team. Good opportunity there. And this is going to be one of those where we figure out again, if Davenport is there, are we able to compete with Davenport? Are we going to be, as far behind Grand Valley if they're there, Ferris State, who will likely be there? How do we line up there? I think that's going to be a really interesting thing. But then even on the flip side of that, the teams that we were ahead of, the Northern Michigan, Parkside. I can't remember the other teams that were at the most recent one, but like essentially, like how does this team line up against the GLIAC uh,
Yeah.
collectively? So we'll definitely see what goes on there. Quick one here, thanks to the women's tennis team again, because we don't have that much information on this one. Are heading down for the BG Hidden Duels hosted by Bowling Green. This is happening on Friday, September 26th. Only duels, only doubles tennis action.
And why are they
No
hidden?
information. Yeah, yeah. You made that joke earlier.
Well, actually, well, yeah, I know why they're hidden. We don't know who's going to be there, except for Wayne State and presumably Bowling Green.
Yeah, so we know two schools that will have representation there. But yeah, other than that, I don't really see anything on this one. But look, some D1 action in there. I mean, Bowling Green's hosting this one, and we're getting in on that. So
Yep.
could be some big names there. Could be a lot of your MAC schools that are going to be there. We'll see.
You'd like to hope so.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun to see. One more,
Yeah.
thanks. So what do we got?
And last but not least, men's tennis will be competing probably at the most important, aside from football and volleyball, but a chance to win a national championship or at least move on to one. They will be competing in the ITA Intercollegiate Tennis Association Midwest Regional on Saturday, September 27th through Monday, the 29th. Uh, it's being hosted by Grand Valley in Allendale. Gonna be an all-day event between them all. It looks like it's just singles matches only. Um, the draws have not been released yet, but it also looks like that just about every single Wayne State men's tennis player will be there. Big opportunity for them. If you can make it out of that Midwest regional, get a chance to get onto nationals, go out and win not an NCAA, but a national championship for Wayne State. Big opportunity there.
Yeah, doubles is a part of this as well.
Okay.
That the ITA site does it's
Oh yeah,
actually
I see it now.
wearecollegetennis.com, which is probably ITA in general. But yeah, they do have it called out there. The actual bracket is not up yet, but this is going to be one of those we talked about, like what is the team starting to look like? Who are we going to start to rely on? This is going to tell us very, very well who it is that we should be relying on and like who are going to be the big names for this Wayne State men's tennis team. So not to like breeze over the previous events that we talked about for like the women's tennis team, cross country and all that, but you are exactly right. This is huge. Like this is the entire region that's going to be there. Like if you're a serious tennis school, most D2 schools in the Midwest are serious tennis schools. This is a really good opportunity to find out, at a regional and national level, where do you compete? And especially for a Wayne State tennis team that, again, Cedric Drenth is not with the team right now. Well, because he's no longer eligible because he's used all of his eligibility.
He's
So
fine.
who's gonna step into that? Who's gonna be that next big? Who's gonna be your ace? Who's gonna be, your 4, 5, and 6? Those bottom, I don't want to say bottom third, but like sitting in that spot when it comes to a lot of these events, those are so important. Those are just as important as the top three. So this is going to be very, very interesting to follow along with. Curious to see how like George Day does. Curious to see how like a Tom Wasner, a lot of those guys do. But
Yep,
definitely an exciting one.
for sure.
So that's what we
That's
got,
it for the
Sangster.
week.
That is what we got. Football is a big storyline here. volleyball has a huge opportunity in front of them, and then this men's tennis team. I think those are the big three for
Yep.
this coming weekend that I'll be following along with. Very excited to see and talk about them in the next episode of the Warrior House podcast. But with that being said, we appreciate everybody joining us on episode 104 of the Warrior House podcast.
And remember, it's always a great day to be a